save the kids or save the animals. Your partner's trauma is a gift. The hokey pokey is messing you up.
She saw her touch my penis.
My narcissistic behaviors, my managing severe narcissism. Why are you afraid of rejection? Welcome to the Morrow Marriage podcast, guys, where we are real, raw, uncensored, and anointed. All right. We are going to talk about something kind of a weird topic today, but we'll tie it in. Save the kids or save the animals. Now, the reason this is coming up is because many people have asked, they've been DMing, they've been saying, can you please tell us more stories? And so I was reminded accidentally around the same time I was getting all of these DMs about this, about a time when, we had quite a big fight back in the day.
It was multiple fights.
Multiple fights.
Oh, it was constant.
Would you save the animals or would you save the kids? Now, so I have a son up in Canada, and we have a niece up in Canada, and they were staying together with us a lot of the times. And you probably got a better memory.
Well, I think my memory isn't as distorted as yours probably is because he was deep in cognitive distortions at the time. Mm-hmm. So the story is revolved around these two children that we had a lot of the time. So his son and then my niece, basically my best friend's daughter, and they were the same age. And so I almost played like dad. Remember, I had her every second weekend. Yep. And we would have sleepovers and everything. And I also had dogs. So one of these dogs we still have. He's almost 11. He's 11, I think, this year.
Yes.
In April. And one is no longer with us, but he was so jealous, especially of this male dog that we still have. Do you remember how jealous you were?
Oh my gosh. I just hated this dog because he loved Kathryn so much. And this is how bad I was back then. Like I was insecure about a puppy dog.
And a lot of people are. It's really valuable to say this out loud because there are a lot of women that I've spoken to whose husbands are so jealous of her relationship with the dog.
Yeah, this happens with children too,
Children, dogs, cats, friends.
Phones.
It's just that phones, but dogs, I think for me, it's the most ridiculous one because of course, like you love your dog unconditionally. Your dog loves you unconditionally. There's nothing to be jealous of. It's a dog. This is what dogs do. Mm-hmm. Every dog.
It is a different relationship. It's not actually even it's not even the same.
No,
chart,
it's a comparing, they say apples to oranges. It's not the same.
Right,
it's like, this is why you buy a dog. This is why you adopt a dog, whatever. Anyway, so I had this really close relationship with this dog. I still do. And he was I don't want to say a replacement, but he was a replacement for a dog that went missing. And so
stolen.
That was stolen. We later got her back 4 years later. We got back a stolen dog. Yeah, that's a different story. But Finn, we still have him. He's going on 11. He was very important to me. And that's all I need to say. I think he was just so important to me. Anyone who's had a dog that you bond with, it, like when we did an early episode, we did an early activity in our marriage where it said, what is your favorite animal? We had to guess for each other. And he said, Finn.
Yeah,
your favorite animal is Finn. Like it wasn't dog, frog, cat, whatever. It was Finn.
Before I got jealous.
This is before he got jealous. He's probably already jealous, but he wasn't showing it.
That's right. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, and somehow we got into several conversations and always go back to what would happen if there was a house fire? Would you save the kids or the dogs? And Kathryn would always just immediately say
the dogs. And the reason that I would say that is because I knew that my husband is the typical hero. If something is going wrong, my husband is in there. If you need protection, my husband is, even when he was being an asshole, I knew that he was going to protect me. If anything went wrong, I'm not going to get thrown in front of the bullet. He would take a bullet for me. He would take a bullet for a stranger. And so in those conversations where he was like, well, if there was a house fire, who are you going to save, the kids or the dogs? I would say the dogs because I knew that he would already be there. He would be waking me up. He would be going to get the kids and I would be left saving the dogs, or he would be dragging me along as I was trying to get the dogs. There was no question in my mind that the kids would be saved because I have the hero husband. He is the Prince Charming. The kids were probably already out of the house in this theoretical, like bullshit experience that he was trying to create in his mind. The kids are already outside and he's narcissistically abusing me saying, why aren't you getting the kids? The kids are fucking outside, you idiot, because you already got them. And this episode today is about jealousy. The only reason he asked me that was because he wanted me to say that I would choose the children. But you know what's interesting, honey? If I would have had a super, super close relationship with the kids, like if they were my own children, so one of them was yours, one of them was my niece, if I would have had that close relationship with the children, you wouldn't have liked that either.
I know.
So
So
it was a no-win in this narcissistic.
this is where I
world.
wanted to go with it. Okay. Is because the amount of times we hear, we did the episode recently on people recording each other, right? And the amount of times we hear stories and the stuff that you're fighting over is, well, it's fucking stupid. Think about it. We're creating a false scenario. This isn't like, planning the fire escape and the fire exits. Okay. That's not what we were doing here. I could see how the conversation would happen if you're actually planning the evacuation routes, but let's get fucking real. I was not. I was fabricating something, and she's right. Probably no matter what, it was a lose-lose situation, right? Because in reality, if you think about who I was back then, unless she was trying to save me, then you could not win because it was about me being loved, right? What I'm trying to get at is the amount of shit that we hear from people every week about, what they're fighting over and what the reality is and why they need to have an opinion about being right, being loved, being validated, whatever it is. Almost always, it's fucking garbage. It's garbage.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. We recently talked about somebody who just wanted a hug, right? And the perception, if you recall from that episode, was about, well, I already tried 45 minutes ago. Okay. Now, I just don't understand because you do want that hug. So go think about that for everything that you're going through. We had a guy recently very worried that he was scorekeeping negatively, just did not feel like his wife was lifting him, supporting him the way that he should. See, something like that, I can understand. But when you're going at it from a scorekeeping perspective, which he wasn't, okay, and you start to try to push your theories, your ideas out in order to sort of trap your partner to see if they will support you, for example, okay? You're not asking the right questions. In this case, he did. He said, I'm wondering if I'm scorekeeping, it's Father's Day. We were talking about Father's Day was one example, right? And am I okay for that, to want that, okay? But if he starts going off on what he deserves on every day and he starts tying into all these things, you guys have to start breaking this shit apart into separate things. You're stacking your whole world into whatever you're fabricating based off all of this other bullshit, and you actually don't move anywhere forward, right? Like this client that we have that's going super negative with the big lists all the time, right? You start fighting over all of this shit and you avoid what you're actually feeling. In the case with the dogs and the kids, I was trying to prove that she didn't love me. She loved the dogs more, right?
And he was trying to prove something that wasn't true.
That's right.
I loved you, and I loved that he made me want to not love him by doing things like this. So it was working against him. But I loved the dogs. I loved the kids. I loved him. But logically, I wasn't in that distortion that he was in. I had a decision that I needed to make, and I knew which decision I needed to make because of who you were. The kids were already saved.
But here's something I also want to do. I want to introduce, we're going to be talking about this today in one of the episodes we filmed, but about a woman taking responsibility, because a lot of it is all about how I push men to take responsibility. And men feel victimized, men feel blamed, okay? But if you're watching this show, you know that Kathryn also holds women accountable. In fact, we both hold males and females accountable, okay? Now, what's interesting...
It just depends who you're talking to.
That's right.
If I had the opportunity to speak to a man, I'm going to hold him accountable.
100%. And in fact, I did this week talking to one of your clients. I don't speak to the women usually, and you don't speak to the men usually, except unless it's a group call. But this exact thing happened. And what's powerful about this is if you really understand our story, right? What Kathryn would do now based off of what she knows is back then when I have this bullshit trying to make this stuff happen, creating this illusion of not being loved enough, right? Kathryn probably would have told me how and maybe you did, by the way, too, but using the skills that you have now that you teach, I know that you would have been like, baby, you're going to take care of the whole family. You don't have to worry about the dogs or the kids. I don't have to worry about myself. You're going to carry us all over your shoulder. You build me up. Right. And I would have felt so incredible probably. And, maybe it would have diffused. So there's so many ways that we can look at how you can handle this. The important
thing.
By
the way, I did say things like that, but it's just that you weren't reachable.
That back then it would have
been. And I probably didn't say it as nicely.
Well, that's what I'm getting at. You say things completely different. Like when I spoke to your client, the whole point was to really, like, I had to walk her through an hour and 15 minutes of walking her through the things that would hurt for her to say, but would lift him so that he would soften. Right. And I had to use the experience of what you put in my life. That's why we call it a gift, guys. I had no idea what it meant to feel loved. Right. And so just in the spirit of taking responsibility, when you understand that you can learn and you can the bullshit reality stuff, these make-believe scenarios, that's going to happen because your perception is based off of everything that's happened in your life, and you are hurting and you don't feel enough love. So if you're the person that's causing the realities that are skewed and looking for, just don't beat around the bush anymore. Stop looking for love by fighting around it, you know, all these different directional fucking attacks. Okay. And if you're the person that is on the other end, you use the skills that we teach, right? Love them through it, because on the other end, I mean, we just laugh about a stupid story like that. Now, Finn, you were just so happy yesterday, because Finn for quite a while now, just he comes to see me and cuddle me at nighttime.
Finally,
Right.
he doesn't have PTSD because you weren't nice to him for a long time. He was so jealous of Finn, and now Finn, I'm thrilled. He comes over and he sits between us and he wants to cuddle you. It's so nice.
Yeah, and see, that would have set me over the edge before. It's part of the problem. Like, how dare you get between me and my wife? You know, it's like the
dog,
the stupidest
10-pound dog.
Yeah. All right.
And by the way, I do want to take responsibility for that, because I would have said, I don't need to take care of the children because you have them. But because I was in an attack, I didn't know how to respond back then. I would have been like, fuck, you're getting the kids. Why do I need to get the kids when you're getting them? I probably said it like that because I was being attacked and I did not know how to respond non-defensively.
That's right.
And then we got stuck in a cycle of attack defend, which is one of the things that we teach. One of the things that I teach specifically.
Hey guys, if you're getting a ton of value, please share this episode. Please like this episode. Please give us a 5-star review and help us get this into more hands and help more people. Thank you. You know, again, it always goes back to, how could I do this differently? What could I do differently? You know, even though my behavior and the shit that I was causing was terrible, you know,
I could have still responded in love. Stat responded like you teach. And I could have diffused his insecurity about how I quote unquote love the dogs more than the kids, which really what he meant by that was that I love the dogs more than him.
Yeah,
but I didn't diffuse it. I defended it, which was logical. But you don't always need to use logic. You need to use love.
Yeah, I always say, I don't give a fuck what's fair. I care what works.
What works.
Yeah, that's it. Okay, guys, we'll see you next time.
Bye.